was for a higher juicy leaves. Maybe Obibia Aquawa. I had the latest hot qua and I'm the Bromo. I don't say we don't subscribe to channel idea, but Modia say over subscribe. The way I say over click a year the subscribe button, you know. Now what barely notification, you know. We are a video for Frubia be upload, no. When the first person once a becca a year sa video. Afi we are now what like video and give us a thumbs up na fi share my or for so now when you be here now who and someone ekoso ewo Ghana memo ha afi yehwe ye semo abeto yepno so eye report bi aba abetodwa momenti eye enkomo na ekoso efa ye sa report no momenti.
Now there is this vexed issue of the current Attorney General discontinuing cases in the courts, and people have said all kinds of things about it. Senator, it costs a lot of money to prosecute people. It takes national resources to prosecute people. Those who carry on prosecutions have a duty to ensure that they are not wasting public funds. Okay? And I believe that it is for this reason that the Attorney General was given the powers to discontinue cases in the courts. It is for this reason that the Attorney General has powers to decide what to prosecute and not to prosecute. You understand? And I, unlike my brother Atik, believes that if you prosecute a case for 8 years and there's no headway, it's an indication that the case must be very weak. That the grounds for that case must be very weak. 8 years! Why? 8 years. But even beyond that are also other indicators. In the case of this gentleman from the Bank of Ghana and so on, the facts are that the recommendation to discontinue the case came up way before Mahama came to power. I'm sure all of you are privy to that information. That the prosecutors recommended that the case should be discontinued, and Godfrey Dami, then Attorney General, disagreed with them and continued. So we know that even before the elections were won by the NDC and Mahama, within the establishment responsible for prosecution, there have been doubts about whether the case had any merit or not. That's clear. Now, the other thing for me is that that case is about some funds that the Bank of Ghana was making available to this bank, UMB, I suppose, which was in some distress and so on. Now, we are told that that facility that the Bank of Ghana gave to UMB had a huge collateral, and therefore there could be no financial loss to the state, because all that the Bank of Ghana had to do in case of default was to fall on the collateral. Why prosecute such a case? Somebody must explain to me. Why prosecute such a case? Such a useless, foolish, nonsensical case. Why prosecute it and waste our resources? So, I don't find anything wrong with the decision which has been made by Mr. Dominic Ayini, or Dr. Dominic Ayini, or Honorable Dominic Ayini, current Attorney General, with regards to that case. Then there's the case of Dr. Opuni. The argument was that, or the case against him was that they had brought in some fertilizer which was of low standards. Master, I followed that case so very closely. And I heard farmers come to court. The farmers themselves will come to court to say that when they applied that fertilizer, their yields increased. If I'm lying, tell me. One farmer said that the year he applied that fertilizer, how the cocoa flowered, he had never seen some before. I heard scientists come to court and testify that even the methods that were used in testing the fertilizer, which formed the basis of the prosecution, were wrong scientifically and so on. And we carried on prosecution for 8 years. Now, if this is not malicious prosecution, what else can be malicious prosecution? So, we wanted this case to continue just for continuing sake. Then after 12 years, 13 years, 15 years, an impartial judge will look at the case, look at the facts and say that, oh, you have wasted Opuni's time. You have wasted our resources and so on. Why don't you cut it short now? Given what we know about the Opuni case. Given what we know about the Opuni case. Today, I'm sitting here saying that I'm completely disgusted by the treatment of Mr. Ken Ofori Atta. Then, I look back, and I remember how Opuni was treated. And I'm sure all of you remember how Opuni was treated. His arrest, he's being driven somewhere to his hometown, somewhere on the border in the Bonhoeffer region, northern part of Bonhoeffer region. The ordeal he went through in Kumasi and so on. I remember all of that vividly. Ken Ofori Atta has not suffered 10%.
Can you let him talk?
Okay, if you say 1%, 1%.
Let
Ken Ofori Atta has not suffered, as you say, 1% of what Opuni went through. So if we are crying for Ken Ofori Atta today, we must weep for Dr. Opuni, who was completely mistreated and so on. Then there's the case of Ato Forson and Richard Jakpa. I mean, so obvious. If you heard the telephone conversation between the Attorney General and Richard Jakpa, my brother, how can you in good faith, how can you in any honesty insist that that trial should continue? I heard on that, in that telephone conversation, Attorney General telling an accused person to go and fake evidence and put before the court. Not fake evidence that you are sick. Get a fake medical report and send it to the court. Where is the good faith in that? That case is a useless case. Absolutely useless case which needed to be dropped. And on the tape, we all heard what had happened. And nobody has denied the authenticity of that tape. You understand? So you hear things like, oh, you are not the person we are looking for. Who are you looking for? So somebody you are not looking for is stranding child. For what? Huh? And you insist that we must go on with this case. You see, I don't know if the press conference which was held by Mr. Dami, former Attorney General, was at his own instance or he was advised to do it. But if he was advised to do it, whoever advised him must be his number one enemy. Because the final analysis, it did him no good at all. No good at all. We should frown on malicious prosecution of citizens. In much the same way that we frown on the abuse of the rights of citizens. The same, malicious prosecution is the same, it may be even worse than ordinary abuse of the rights of citizens and so on. So we should frown on it. Then there is this whole business of aura. Sana, aura. And I beg you, listen to me very carefully. I'm just simply shocked by the claim by some of the leaders of the NPP that why is aura targeting only NPP people? and that it should also target NDC people and so on. I'm sitting by saying, hey, where is this coming from? Master, if all the evidence so far gathered shows that only NPP people have committed these offenses, only NPP people will be targeted. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're an NPP man, and you firmly believe that NPP leaders and office holders and so on should not be targeted alone, then you must have some information that NDC people too have done some things which are wrong. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if you have information that there are some NDC people too who have done the same things for which the NPP people are being accused and may be investigated and so on, what do? Bring the information. If you bring the information and it is ignored, then you can make noise. But you're saying that we should all be treated equally. If you charge one NDC man, you should charge one NPP man. You just charge by heart without any basis. Do you have the basis? If you have the basis, bring it forward. Simple. This one is not any big matter. There's no mangana in this one. Straightforward. You have the evidence? Bring it. And if you bring it and it's ignored, then you can make the noise. You understand? This is not like, some games that we used to play when we were children. One here, one there, one here, one there. No. This is evidence driven. In the beginning, they claimed that Ora had no legal authority. And some of them were asking, is it a commission of inquiry? Is it a presidential commission? And so on. My brother, under the laws of Ghana, any and every citizen has a right to investigate corruption. To the extent that we even have what is referred to as citizens' arrest. Beyond gathering the information, you Senate sitting here, you can arrest criminals. Hand them over to the security agencies. It's not against the law. What did President Mahama do? He had been elected as President of the Republic. A lot of complaints were coming to him. He was dealing with so many things in the transitional period. All kinds of ambassadors wanted to see him. Foreign ministers were pouring in to see him. He was dealing with telephone calls with presidents. He was dealing with appointment of his ministers and so on. So he said, look, let me take some of the burden off my shoulders and give it to a 5-member committee headed by Okudatu Ablakwa. If you have any complaints for my attention, give them to these 5 people. Let them compile it. When I take office as president, I will then hand it over to the appropriate state institutions to investigate and establish the facts for an informed action. What is wrong with this? Tell me what is wrong with this. And that's exactly what he has done. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago that I heard the Attorney General saying that prosecutions will begin in 1 week, next week or so. I was surprised. I mean, what kind of investigations will be done in 1 week? So my caution is that, look, if investigations are going to be done, let proper investigations be done. And when the investigations have been done, facts properly established and so on, you can take them to court. That in itself would not automatically lead to conviction. But at least the Attorney General has the right to prosecute. And the Attorney General must be warned not to engage in malicious prosecution. The Attorney General must be made to understand that citizens that he wants to prosecute have rights. Many rights. Including the right to be heard, the right to counsel, all kinds of rights. And those rights must be upheld. This is a democracy. It's not the perfect democracy that some of us want. This is limited democracy. This is bourgeois democracy. But even under bourgeois democracy, the citizens have rights which need to be protected. And I do hope that the Attorney General will be guided by you know, these rights and so on. And Senator, there's something that we many times ignore. In Ghana, now, the Attorney General has two positions. The Attorney General, being Attorney General, is at the same time the Minister of Justice. So it is the Attorney General in whom power is vested to ensure that citizens enjoy their full rights. So even as he's prosecuting citizens and so on, there is a counter to that, which is the enjoyment of full rights by all of us. I hope that the right things will be done. And I hope that at the end of the day, those who have committed crimes against this country will be punished. And that those who are innocent will remain innocent and free. That is my expectation. I avoided saying prayer deliberately. That is my expectation. Finish.
Thank you.
So there was an interesting occurrence. There was one scientist who testified on behalf of the government called Dr. Edufrimpong, right? He is the one who said the fertilizer that so many farmers had confirmed was good was bad. He was brought up on a motion of perjury, right? Remember? Yes. The swiftness with which it was discharged.
Was it discharged? I thought they said
according to the prosecutors, who said it was discharged, when we actually found out that it wasn't the case. But this is the same Dr. Edufrimpong who invaded the Bulgarian embassy and broke it down.
Oh yes.
Yes. So if anybody comes and talks about the hand in glove mentality with Dr. Opuni's prosecution, on the face of what we have, how could you even say? I'm telling you, he's the same man. And at a point in time, his daughter was the one who was taking bulldozers. Have you ever heard of a public servant willy-nilly sending bulldozers to go and break down an embassy? That he has bought the embassy. Same person. So if I tell you right now that the man was commissioned to do what he was doing, and in return he was given a favor of doing that, would I be wrong? Because I can tell you for free, even in the worst of governments, no public servant can dare to go and brazenly take down an embassy. In fact, it is a diplomatic catastrophe, and in fact, it did become a diplomatic catastrophe simply because Sammy Kujeto unearthed it. And they quickly went in, did a one-man commission, and at the time, even the Supreme Court had determined that they should stay off that embassy. And he was still doing it brazenly. So, there we have it. People went through so much, and today the people who put those people through what they went through are crying foul. 1.00001% on day one. You are complaining on day one. Doctor, please, what is 356 times 8? What's 356 times 8? 356 times 8. Yeah. You have your phone. Let I think do it. He's younger than me. 2,848. Dr. Pune is on day 2,848. You are complaining on day one. I've even forgotten the investigating period. Look, what a lot of people don't talk about is when you are put through this, the discomfiture it has on your family. What the discomfiture it has on your finances. Because I tell you what, You are only as good as the criminal defense attorneys that you have. Dr. Puni is not in jail because he hired perhaps the most renowned criminal defense attorney in this country. And those people don't come cheap. Every time a lawyer goes to court with you, you have to pay him. So Dr. Puni is on day 2048. He's still paying his bills. Look, some of them, I was lucky. I didn't get to court. But if I tell you what I paid my lawyers, I pity anybody who is on day 2048. Some people mortgage their homes, some people sell their property, some people, excuse me to say, their wives leave them. On the issue of the economy,
You have to be very brief.
well, 1 minute. Right now, we may potentially be facing issues. So Ghanaians should simply pack up. Because where this country was left, it's just not good. The so-called debts that the MPP told you we were forgiving our debts, and they are just rescheduled. It's just a rescheduled execution. At some point, those debts become due. If they give you a moratorium, the debt is still there. Even if they remove the interest payments, the principal is still there. Nobody is going to work, save money, you borrow the money, and then when you come out, you say, I can't pay. It doesn't happen that way. So we have a lot of issues. And that is why, as ordinary citizens of this country, it doesn't matter which government is in place. When public officials are misbehaving, you have a civic duty to call them out. Ghanaians sat down for 7 years for Ofori Atta to destroy our economy. And if you sit down for 7 years for somebody to destroy your economy, you are going to have issues. Because somehow, someday, somehow, you are still going to have to pay the piper. You know, when there's a saying about, facing the music. Facing the music is the story that came out of somebody who joined an orchestra, didn't know how to play the instrument, but because the orchestra, everybody was playing, he also always doing this. And then one fine day, the conductor points to him and says, play the solo. And so, if you sit askance while these things happen, that's what I have said. And I have said that the last 8 years of my life have been the most traumatic years of my life, and so I will always remember to stay humble. Ghanaians have vindicated our position. Ghanaians have given us the right to serve them, and that is what I intend to do. I will continue to serve until the day that I decide not to serve, but whether I'm serving or I'm not serving, I remain humble. I want to be reminded by my friends and enemies alike. If you think we are doing something wrong, please tell us. I will promise that I am not going to run around with government provided vehicles and insult people who criticize me. People like Atik, who will be chasing me with a stick. But that's just by the way. Atik is a very good friend of mine. But when they call you and they say, dude, this is going wrong, please listen to them, because they are the same people you will turn to when you are no more where you are. We are given favor by the Ghanaian people. We must respect the favor that they are giving us.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Attorney General. What do you feel? Oma yadwuma you. Oma chere step by step. Uhwemu a ne ye punishable no, ese ye punish. Ne ese ye prosecute no, ye prosecute. Ye retrieve. Ne ese ye retrieve, ne ye retrieve. Ne wase wo konsa wom no akonsa wom. Wo boss afi Ghana begiti. Because the agenda is there. Obi anya opportunity a eno ane se owia aban de bia ene before some baba na make ache mo mislo MPP baba mu mankoje government bangaro Mantri government car. Manje anything apart from Misika Dietria, my civil servant. What's appointment to look at the mamma? It's a letter to free Jubilee House. Or more national security for a Troy. My first salary was 2,700. Among for fees and more airport Nami Mekiska. The question I'm saying for Bogana Humbai. Near Bogana Humbai. Look, said Antissa. Again, before the questions a woman. But I make a show. Come to me questions a woman. Hey, what more friend? Monshi share dear Benya Dietiano. What would you draw Musi Bibiano? The last charge of Munya is a mechanic in register. And then it's Yagana. We register it. It's Yerina or Moshe, not go one Jacano, no, say a stolen car. No, bit is second Ofori Atta. Ken Ofori Atta. Who said what the your money? And Coco good banks. Now Jessica will use you yet. Now, what's he saying? You cannot prosecute him. Who shared the number of loans? And no, they fund the bank. No bank he make it profit. Cham. And a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. And a prosecutable. It is Manu. It is someone dealing with. It's someone dealing with. Yet, yes, in the electricity demand private company. What would you see? Gano Mudia. Who better now? Ghana for Bepamu Bia. One gas a forward this. These are some of the things I can tell you NDC will stay in power for about 16 years. Nyanko for Adam and a PF now. So who knows? A defense minister who has worked with the Ghana Armed Forces. Yes. Ebiana and she should be the one with him. Oh, information be a you know, or predicted about said Dominic to guy. So we need him. As early as possible. May there is one manner, me Jenny Dipa, Jenna upon people. Me Jenny, or ye professional, or no, or ya dear, who say, or ye with passion, who say, or mine no dana pumaso. I can give you a series of examples. During the year, officer or more promotunity, or more case ye say obey. No. Was it not under me? Why not? Niamo moka one fat to your phone ko bule for was at the point what has a Masoja Nibianco police station? What's a Masoja Nibianco police station? They will be on standby. Problem seniors is all mobile. They will come. That is a manner made forever. No, I will say yes, it's a soldier. But I have a video number. Say by a commander, my comment
the armed forces. Do you think, because I've heard people say, Ghana, Osha how Anyoma Ako, the media pluralism and the fact that so many radio stations, it's virtually impossible for a coup d'etat to happen. Oh, now won't say, but that's the reality.
In 2019, I watched it. I watched people planning. As we set up people, they followed the people for 1 year. Now we record for 1 full year. Planning. And what was the plan? Very simple. You're making sure that Ghana becomes ungovernable. Grenades. Now yes, then we start bombing few places. But drop it high, but drop it. But even these are national security things. I don't think so. After you're off air, but it's very possible. Your media, it takes only 1 day to say, baby, no. What can you do?
Yeah, but if you do that announcement on a semper,
you're not getting me.
There are other.
You are not getting me. So who feels about Burkina now? Media. So many radio stations. And I said Gidi. Now we need so many radio stations. And I said Mali. Officer now we need so many radio stations. When I get your they have so many radio stations. Why don't the radio stations save them? There are so many things that can happen.
That can happen.
What I feel is you should have a loyal dedicated armed forces that will stand and fight for the country, regardless of whoever comes.
Do we have that now?
I'm always.
What challenges?
Yes. But I'm almost certain. Say your wobby.
With what challenges accommodation?
We say, child accommodation there. It's a normal problem that Ghana. They know say Ghana cannot provide everything at once, and with even the difficult economic challenge you're facing as a country since 2020 that we face as a country around the world. So they hear, they watch news around the world. They see what is happening in other areas. America is complaining. UK complain. Things are hard. Everybody is complaining, but still the government will provide accommodation for them.
The air cost on say is likely say Kubetibiesi.
The point is, but Naka, as I said, or make it that is a possible save it.
Exactly, that's where my worry is.
Naka is a conisa from my perspective. Nature say, what's your question now? Who's to look through yada? Say Ghana, yes, you baby, I do it, and that they are Kubetibiesi. Now, what kind of one that catch us in the Kaika? Did you nanny wake up for? As I say, at my head, yet I official. Now, me feel say a year like Onoana, what being a no canisa. So on the end, I didn't get Yanina Bayamano paper. But
our information be a yenny.
And Tina may
also name the cost.
Was it would name the
Tina may say the security of this country should be the paramount. Economic na ubeti ba pepepe ejekin gran wa hipa so on there et you making sure say your security system is solid say solid enu anu no now obi so ho no ma no opese otata ti the worker was say na microphobia your adwene say on be magana ye ungovernable it because of that na say e fa ni sadia your own people including you in parliament Mose NDC for the Agra. Adi Amamodie or Muntibi Mubi. Abrekumanof. Or Moses or Mudi Agra. Adi a parliament or plan, you may be uncle. So it means to say Musum bet my question grophobia. So Netiano. Check for example, a bro mu picking grophobis or more pranico near the other. My details of it well. But there are some people I think say they were wrongfully picked. Obiti say ACP and Agozo. Uche ni kasa any idea. You see, Agozo was picked mainly because of statement of your police training. I don't say sorry, I see police here. Independent no he. IGP is appointed by the president, we is appointed by what Kasai pa Kasa Neboso etrense. The Hube, the ruling government, you know, from that time ago. Etienne, so young funny say, every grand grophobia prani bibi, and they be on money no, Ababe, dear grand, and so many Napapa be doing Goma, they say, I walk home, Yabepiko, any other day. Did you now concordano? Maybe they make any and say, Abayi, what make sure Ghana for the 2 million, Ghana 2 million na, I said, no, Mahama. Don't disappoint the people. I didn't know by one maintaining Dominic Nitu as a defense minister. I didn't know one maintaining Henry Kwete as an interior minister. It is what my appoint Omudia. Then vital positions. One Casao Bine Bonnie and Deno. And so take you over.
Because Matisia see Jubilee and Anno Mekawaha. Some military phony be a no more and Akufo Addo Bimuda Sonamo. Ama asara for ni bikura me de obi ka kire me personally o se ya ye nam ha nyina no ye nye huni because ye beto sa ankofo wa ha se no mo wa ha deda what are they doing
Ghana anti say the developed democracy
sure
ti say ko US oba nipa wo ho na apart from few yi bi obeye no nka ye for de o mo ho no constant even in US FBI director president is saying you know see, what changing? I mean, you can say police are any state. Can say or minor central government, you know, Ediano. What's all called US? Every state be on the police.
On the police.
Though are more common rules, but wokɔ New York and you may be a police bed dealing with her. Maybe I will call baby to say California and Tessa. So on it. Ghana has also there. Everything is under the central government. It is a go home a credit pay as a matter. Say, one pay you may be a whatever Bawumia. Yet in IAT, Dr. Hilary Mans, at a number said that is a number of primary school. Na Ekau, Obrino Jimmy Jeffrey, Jimmy Jeffrey. What Jimmy Jeffrey said, we are they say I wanted to go. Wako baby atra. So on it. You make sure. Says Sammy Mano, ye di be ko. Ah, ye better to. Hey, that is. Yeah, no. From Kwame Nkrumah pencil.
Yeah, bro, buy a bar. No.
Kwame Nkrumah pencil. What bar? Who say what the on one casa? No. Every day America. A month for as a Anna President go for a day. Another day, Bawumia na got to defense. Share. Nanka, why no fan go to war?
Asante Bediatuo.
Why not go fan go to war? Because defense, you know, I didn't get on my own.
Yeah.
Apart from so people bet here every year so grano. Internally, no play role. You need someone you trust. Who go interior, you need someone you trust. When you sound profound, we are who say Bambo are you okay? Then we do any call other areas. Then yes, I say we just hold said you okay, it is possible. I will take you say but ma you take chances.
Yeah.
So on you make sure say you must know ama bibia atimi atoto ye. Dompreh, we are the best spell because you were pushed by the host. That question was unnecessary question. For discussion.
When the course we question in the first place.
Unnecessary because we don't need to be discussing such matters. So on the Burkina Faso will refer to Inano. What democracy in this
exactly.
How many radio stations now go almost in Gonya or more discussions to say Ghana has it? Ghana have over 200 a year and obey will be a discussions about the country. Yeah, democracy, no freedom of speech, no any other. This time, I say that for almost slow. Sadly, almost slow because we are winning support.
Yeah.
Essence we are winning support in Injino. Or Monko involved or Mokrano Maye. So, Netino. I don't know, for the last time I met President Yapacho, take charge of the country. Take charge. Now, me answer the meko ora honum. Unsa Akufo Addo ka say obey Accra City, the cleanest city.
Yeah.
President Mahama, Akufo Addo kan went manye. Wo won kan, but I want you to do it. From Accra Hangwan, your prisons be 2 and 4.
Yeah, se bakumo.
Dodo wakwan.
So na bakumo.
Ana Roman Rage hono. Ana Jamestown.
Yeah.
Ana Kaswa
kwan so bi o. 4. Wokọ sa 4 yi mu a anya hwe wobetimi anya ni 1000. Wo mugum Ghana bomb hook every day. Ye todokno, ye tomoko, ye yesei, eni ne kai ka. Adenti and again to be do so every day. There are some people I say, yeah, all Koje with hard labor. It means what day every day so you
also a Juma.
Did I don't know where. Oh, we are not the Mako go for no Mako to Donia. What does it mean? Yes, some including Obia in the prison. Say it 3 times in the week. Ya target baby. Mukako ye kwatuma. Akwa sisa akotiti gatam wo yasisa enya de etiti agukwan hu
yeah
yaje hono mo kama near the notices abugo ho. We should not be afraid to do some of these things. We chapi patu wa ye chiwa what pure water 10 pesos in one anu waje yina to ye chiwa sport fan 10 cedis nipa no betwa sa nipa na odi na gina ho no wonya nipa 10 a day a enya 100 cedis
100 cedis.
Eti se kasa wonye bosome ebia ye betu abeye 300 cedis 400 cedis a ye benya broso e de atua omo but the course of the term no Wopon say Accra eden. Ate. Hwe ye street. Wobetima fa ye ka de say JJ Roaring say street from Yisa National Theatre hosa di kokoka denta. Sa. The hwe ye ka de say ye lanes no se bi emu afuafa. Wobetima chikusie ni ade nyina wo no. How can we develop a nation like this? Just say a man for a bit to use one with the IS and we are not doing it. Mestre, 740 Interior Minister de Monshe, next arrangement with Emra. Circle, Yakopo Yokonomo Kama, notices Buboha men drop away, would drop ya yasomu. So why not 10 cities in near the Wakapo Trim? Walk up with Dibay 48 hours. Uba, near someone be Pratt, Navia Jao now. Who said, Krum Betty? What breaks out what today? Yes, or would your muya you? Emrofono. Would your mom bet you cry? Messi, and you blena, or Motratra, Pan, who if you try to tell you. At the channel park, what of a who pay you? If he, as so, MOBS 637. No more can you could move in 2 rumors up radio mutte. Wouldn't you fear the Buhana, you know? But in Shishayo, our Mondays, I don't know. Until Yankees, you know. Now, Ora, Yedika, you have a team number. President Board whom what they say, oh, yes, I don't. Now, my friend just a constitutional basis, and they say, then you can come more kind of mystery. MPP, if for Edna Facebook, I won't even your focus. They say, what they are starting a movement boost to so. Primu, who say yes, or more primu. So many at you. A Juma on my end. Me, I am not against a kind of politically exposed person to get a government land. I am not against it. What I am against, and it's at the near $1 million. No go to 42,000 cities. I am question say you are near 1 million. You are open to public. Now you're politically exposed. Now bet you make 1 million. And assassinate. Why should I be against? Now, we just to public net China for it or India for it or any gaga and near pay. And then near pay. But and since is here day. I didn't hear once in the cross board. Oh, yeah. Young as I would hear. As I saw here into no Brabetia 10 pesos. No. It is sad we're waging on. Yankee. What more want to tons I say 42,000 cantonment in there. La Bonne in India Kakahon. Hey, as a theatre to winner. No. One thing. Now, me and I can say, me appear before or before. Unfortunately, but the Bible was wrong for that. We know them, and what they behind the scenes, you know, Mambo Mohu. One for the team budget. No, the company did. What Timmy Fred Obi, our lands commission, Sasasi, Fadi to so. What about you? Oh, Ebia, and you be there. What's it for to so? What's Rosie ever Pamono? Yeah. No, they are to so. What the two are no, I can't say. Between 2012 and 2016, for whole date here. And you who say, one more time, I will not assassin. Baby, go to Chado. Coco share apartments are. A man for a normal work previous government move. SCC, our Bujisica Bombo. Look, some of these things we should tackle it head on. Let us expose them so that you are members is here. No, the way I expose you, what let's just say, Abma level I can tell you, say, hey, ever Bobo say, look, maybe a politically exposed person. I dare say, area here turns as it 1 acre $5 million. What you mobilizing the $5 million, more about betria. They are money crata. One a bit machine. Because a idea here to my public. Adam is my bedding, my beton. Oh, question the source there, I don't need different thing altogether. But what she has said here, as is a general public Triano, I don't have any program with it. That don't know why I get $5 million. They say, well, you can't say Jubilee House in Jim. Oh, Brabejano, 100,000. Brabejano, 150,000 cedis. I mean, and we share the number of complaints. Man for ye, or more mufa, a phone, a fray, or more sending emails. Our mukoyers or mutimi save situations in the brain. I can tell, look, many one MPP money. Meaning greater baby, I will need an hour.
I don't quite did it.
Oko Oyibi, or Nancy, or Tróuble. Is he?
What do you think?
Baby, Befebia. Ye cancer, sia. And Sassy. What will see as a Honomus answer him? As a bandit, what do you? I have a personal interest. Me person or Muche, no Bukadie. Aban Sassy. I know almost individuals are encroaching, Baba Bubu. I will bind him. Monchake Abogoshi. Ye two or Mufri Hormone. Moko check in Sassy. Yenim Momo Mufaka say ba. Yenim Moko say assassin that one I say now. E say ban you 200 more say assassin in an the Bible project. Say Muton ya Monfa who receives him la. Ne yenhwe. Abai wo to me say no assassin we yanto. Sika no tua to hin. Omunya the evidence say yes omutua to ga. Omu form sika mo no muja assassin ba. Adai Gana ni edipa ba ko dia. Obi anango sabi o yare da ogro osiro obi no ato adura bre no. Ene go to cantonment. Insase ni nyina abodobo. Aden. Eti our plot the committee. Na sani enura na omo hand over ma president. Na president nso hand over ma attorney general. Yes, attorney general. What you feel? Omo ya adwuma na wi o. Omo achere step by step. Uhwemu a ne ye punishable no ese punish. Ne ese ye prosecute no ye prosecute. Ye retrieve. Ne ese ye retrieve ni a retrieve. Ne wase wo konsa wom no akonsa wom. Ubo sa fe Ghana begiti. Because ya dey say dia. Obi anya opportunity a. Eno ane say owia aban dia. Be bia ene before some baba na make catch mo. Mr. Look. MPP baba mu mankoje government bangaro. Mantri government car. Manje anything apart from Misika di etua na civil servant. What's appointment no cry dey mama no. Inside say galette the free Jubilee house. Omo national secretary for Troye. My first salary was 2,700. Among for fees and more airport na me make iska. The question I'm saying me for Bogana ho ban. Near Bogana ho ban. Look, send antisa. And Gyamfi before the me question sa wom. Me na make a show. Come the me question sa wom. Hey, wa mo frɛ mo hwehwɛ de ade de benya de atia no. Wa mo hwehwɛ o mo se bibia ni o. The last charge o mo nya say me car na me kita me register here.
Ana no etia Ghana bara.
We register here. Etia na o mo hwɛ na ko mo agye car no na o mo say ye stolen car. Me nya la na o si o. Because omo de omo mama car no. Na ko mo mbu. Ka me chreche o mo ase pa ma obi amu. Said yes it here. I am praying. Sir Dominic, right? Attorney General. Dominic should be able to deal with this matter. Now, it's a naho. Ghana Fwenya Jidie Wabayimu on that area say prosecution, retrieval of Ghana for no Wabubeji Wabu failure. That is the end of NDC. Do you know why this MPP suffered that humiliating defeat? Because those days, that kind of fee say NDC abanye twemu no more sika enti Akufo Addo ba be prosecute omo enu ote hwa na hwiansi nsɛm akɛse nyina bibiansi afendro baby President Mahama say mo wa ban mu sɛ ma hwia bibia mo prosecute me hwiansi minister we bie na no a sɛ me mo fi sɛ ma ye bɔne a ade na mo prosecute me yes o MPC bi or parliament or maje double salary say no cry a crime I didn't know want to man prosecute ona Ghana for mu say nkrofo mo di treasury o mo bedwa wo mo no mu kire am say mo ye be kire mo nyanza President Mahama should take the advantage. I just say, oh, the obi court now need evidence. So they over. But where the clear evidence are there, nobody said Ofori Atta. Ofori Atta. Who can what the your money? And Coco good banks. Now Jessica will use you. Now what's he saying? You cannot prosecute him. Who shared the number of loans? Anno no they fund the bank. Na bank he make it profit champ. And a conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest.
And a prosecutable. It is an manu. It is someone dealing with. It's someone dealing with. Yet yes, in the electricity the my private company. What would you see Ghana over here? Who better now? Ghana for bepamu bia. One gas a forward this. These are some of the things I can tell you NDC will stay in power for about 16 years. I
agree with you.
What beside Argentina, President Mahama drop high profile cases. High profile cases. What prosecutor will be 8 years. What man for them to? A dear case in one. Osama bin Laden case ground bet me to 1 year. A dear 8 years. 8 years. Ato Forson. Obu say Ato Forson ya ni atamu near NAPO. Moko ya God is a more farmers and Mugonwa. Asem bi ani ho asem wa boka nyina nya dokre eye tro ni ejano eti ejano obotam no so mo beka den eti se sakesis we nyina ekoso na se mo anti manye no say we don't see the essence of it eti no we are not interested what's the mentality
yo waiting for winning and someone abeto yep so Mikao say so when you subscribe to channel idea Bomodia say over subscribe now feel so or like video and give us a thumbs up now feel share my Ofori Atta when you be here now and somewhere koso ewo Ghana me mohanum uzo betimi otchere wadwen afa eye somewhere nyina ho ewo comment box ni mu mubati minka biom in my next video.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.